Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I want to talk about HUSKAR in the mid lane. This is a hero that is arguably the best cheese hero of the patch. What I mean by cheese hero is your Meepos, your Broodmothers, and of course, as we'll be looking at today, your HUSKARs. And this hero, after it received the buff, where it can get up to 25% magic resist, has become a much more potent cheese pick. Back in the day, HUSKAR had a similar thing. I think he used to get up to like 70% magic resist, which was comically stupid. I can't believe that hero was even remotely balanced then. But this hero, even with only 25% bonus resistance, is much harder to kill at the low HP pools because in the last patch, what you would do is you would burst him with magical damage. And that's kind of weird, but that was the case. Now that's not really a possibility, so let's talk about how to play a farming mid HUSKAR. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below, I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Alright, as we get into the laning stage, I do really want to specify in what I just said, which is a farming mid HUSKAR. Players think HUSKAR is a roamer, he's a battler. Like every other hero in Dota, you battle at some point, but people really think you battle all the time on this hero. They're like, oh, once I get armlet, I fight. Once HUSKAR gets armlet, he's one of the fastest farmers in Dota. This hero unironically is just unbelievably good at clearing through ancient stacks, Roshan, every neutral camp in the game, and he never runs out of resources. Therefore, you flash farm, and you have to abuse this. Now let's get into the lane. Alright, in terms of the laning stage, I'm not going to cover too much here. Main thing at number 1 is you almost always want to take your Q. Most matchups are pretty bad for HUSKAR. You're a low movement speed, low armor, bad ranged hero. You frankly are horrible at level 1. Any good player is going to take advantage of this and hit you a lot. So what you want to do is kill the range creep as soon as possible by auto-attacking it and using your Q. As a result, the wave is going to consistently be hitting any ranged hero, and this is going to put you in a general state of advantage, which is very important for HUSKAR at level 1. So try to replicate exactly what we saw here every single game. At level 2, you're going to want to take your E, and you can notice in the game that we're currently watching, he's nearly dying. This is going to happen against any decent player. Guys, the worst thing you can do on HUSKAR if you play this hero is try to kill the enemy mid at level 1 or level 2. Even at level 3, you're going to notice, yeah, he's going to hit the Death Prophet every so often. But honestly, as I was watching this game, I was kind of thinking to myself, I feel like Death Prophet could kill this guy. If Death Prophet was a little bit more aggressive and threw out more auto attacks at max range, I frankly think she could have killed him. Because HUSKAR, once again, is trash. I know I'm repeating myself, it's just important to understand that when you're trying to improve, you have to have a couple of key points at certain points in the game that you're going to follow so that you actually hit the hero's spikes. So in terms of items, you want to basically rush Helm of Iron Will in every single lane. I actually think Bottle is like okay, which might sound insane. I think it's alright. I'm not going to get into that right now. The reason why Helm of Iron Will is much more popular and the common build is it builds into armlet and gives you the HP you need, as well as the armor you desperately need as a 1 armor hero. In terms of the small camp, let's hope you don't get the break camp like he does, because it is a pain to farm, but at the end of the day, you want to clear mid and clear the small camp as much as humanly possible. Keep in mind, once again, HUSKAR will often die against heroes like Death Prophet, Lina, and Quap early on, so don't be afraid to jungle if you truly need. It's not that bad. Like, literally, if you think if you walk into the mid lane you're going to die, just jungle instead. Your hero's very good at it. In terms of skill build, I recommend you copy what he does in any difficult lane. Now, if you're against something like an Ember Spirit or a Void Spirit, and you think you're going to be able to dominate the lane, then you might want to consider taking multiple points in your W as early as possible. This spell becomes particularly good at level 2 when you double in the burn damage. Obviously it makes sense, for every spear that you throw it's going to do 80 damage. This is obviously pretty good. At level 1 it's somewhat underwhelming, it just doesn't feel great. And so usually what you're going to see from people is a skip life break build. And I like how he's maxing E this game. As we talked about, it now gives magic resist, which is pretty huge. It's going to prevent him from dying to specific ganks, as you'll see him eventually get ganked with the max out E. But on top of that, it's also just going to allow him to have very high attack speed and sustain, which is important, because you might think, oh, I'm invincible, I'm HUSKAR. You're not. You actually die extremely easily in the early game. Now, when you get armlet, this is when you can turn it up. It's also why I really like the max E build. It maximizes the amount of max attack speed you can get, And that's key for Armlet, because Armlet is the highest DPS strength item, you know, cost per item in the game. It's insanely good. So you're going to see walks over to the DP, shreds her, and this is the gameplay that's particularly important. At this point of the game, all you want to do is shove mid and then go jungle. Most players, okay, he's going to get a haste turn and gank here, which is so sad because it's like, oh, Speed just sent a jungle and then he's ganking, and people will be like, oh, Speed has no clue what he's talking about. But okay, if you get a haste, you know, whatever. You can skill your ulti and gank. Generally recommend taking your ulti at 8 like he does. You can take it at level 6 or 7 if it's going to net you a kill, but generally I wouldn't recommend taking it till level 8. Sometimes pros don't even take it till level 9 or 10, depending on how much they're jungling. But yeah, he gets a haste rune. Okay, whatever. You know, it is what it is. It's the one rune that makes every immobile hero be able to gank. That it is what it is. After that, what is he gonna do? Okay, kills a DP who's pushing his tower like a psychopath. That's just a niche case. Then, okay, he's going to jungle. Yes, you kill your triangle. Uses the Q to make sure the camp can't hit him. Goes in when no creeps are gonna hit him. You can armlet toggle. You generally don't even have to armlet toggle. And then he kills Ancients, kites the camp out. The burning spears will continuously re-aggro the camp. That is going to enable you to cleanly farm Ancients over and over and over again. This hero is a flash farmer. I'm repeating myself because this is what you do clear. And then, you know what he's going to do next? Get ganked and lived because he has max E. Really well done, by the way. A big thing to note in the early game is you want to use your Q as a way to toggle. So often people will commit on you with spells. Here, he can't really toggle because of Spirit Siphon, so he has to walk it off. It's a bit of a tough matchup, which is why I love his Magic Wand, by the way. People used to not buy Magic Wand. I think you should buy Magic Wand every game on HUSKAR, every single game. Because when you're dying to like tick damage, you don't want to armlet toggle. You want to wand, try to walk off the tick damage, then toggle. It's the way to go. So that's what he does here. Gets a nice little toggle in between, walks back in, gets the kill onto DP. Beautiful execution. Now, what is he going to do, guys? You going to walk up and hit mid tower? No! Don't siege the mid tower. You can if the enemy mid lane ganks, and you know for a fact they're not there, but don't do it otherwise. HUSKAR is very good at taking towers. Trust me, your armlet kills them and your E kills them really fast, but you feed like a noob. This hero dies extremely easily. You might be like, Speed, but what about the E? Dude, it's so good now, magic resist. It's like, yes, but you still have 400 HP. Okay, I know you're not an armlet toggling god. Even if you were, usually you'll still die. Please don't feed like this, all right? Just be generally reasonable about your positioning. You see this fight? This is a good fight. Why? Because he gets to start from the outside of the fight. He has a Sanj at minute 12, a 3-level advantage on the Death Prophet, and the enemy team is right under their tier 1, so he gets bonus armor as well as just, you know, a general positioning advantage. Hops on to the DP. Honestly, goes a little bit far here. Ends up going down. That was a poor hop. And this is actually an important thing to cover. So most HUSKAR players, what they do wrong is early game, they just jump in. So shit. It's so shit. The only time you jump in early game is if someone's isolated, okay? Otherwise, if you jump into 4 heroes, once again, you're going to die. You were not that survivable early game. People get this wrong. They're like, I'm playing HUSKAR, I'm unkillable. No, you're not. No, you're not. Just play, like, here, this pounce is somewhat reasonable because it's like sort of to the side, and this guy's kind of isolated, but obviously not enough, as the Sand King eventually gets his blink back up, and they get the kill. So yeah, just be careful about that, right? In general, do not leap into towers. Don't leap into the enemy team. Try to play the outside of the fight and find isolated targets. Then your hero is quite strong. In terms of item build, there's a few different items you can go. The enemy team has a stupid amount of stuns. There's 2 options. Go status resist and play around it that way, or go BKB. Personally, if I was him in this game, I would have rushed BKB. I find it a bit psycho, the fact that he went Halberd in a game where, I mean, it's good against Razor, don't get me wrong, but the enemy team is primarily magical damage, so I think this build is a bit psycho. I get the idea, right? Halberd is simply very good on HUSKAR. Strength, status resist, amp heal on your E. It's all very, very good, but in most games, I think the safe build is generally Armlet BKB Ags. I think that is the safest build you can go. That's going to be good in the majority of games. This Halberd build is good if you're snowballing and you want to take a bit of a risk on an item. It's a slightly earlier timing than BKB, has much better build-up than BKB, and as a result, it can give you these like 12, 13-minute timings that BKB cannot. And so yeah, if you want to fight a bit more with your team, you had a good mid lane, and you want to get active, you want to create space for your carry, you can go something like Halberd to have a bit of an earlier timing and make some space. Otherwise, I think BKB is much safer. generally in team fights, your hero is really good at just solo killing someone by leaping in, pressing BKB, and just guaranteeing the kill. You can't really do that with Halberd in certain matchups. You know, he goes for the Halberd onto the Razor here, chases him down, loses all of his damage, but eventually gets the kill. All right, so the next two things I want to talk about is the Ag's timing and why it's very important, and then talent choices. So in terms of talents, you want to skip your level 10 talent until as late as possible. I wouldn't even skill it until you've maxed out your Q and you've taken your level 15 talent. So generally, you literally take your level 10 talent at level like 16 because it's just not good. Neither of them are really useful, frankly. They're just meh. However, at level 15, he goes for lifesteal this game. I think like it obviously depends. If it's a really easy Huskar game and you're not dying, then go for the Burning Spears DPS. In this game, he was like actually having a very hard mid game. You could see the game is even at minute 30 after like a really good early game for him. So this game was clearly not going too well. So I like the lifesteal, especially with the Halberd, it gets amped. So if you're gonna go this route, I think lifesteal with the Halberd is a very cool way to snowball. He then goes Berserker's Blood regen. So you can see he's like hardcore doubling down on the whole like survivability thing. You can go the other route though. Like the life break cooldown at 20 is very good with your Ags, because your Ags is one of the most insane Ags in the game. It brings your life break down to a 9-second cooldown, the talent does. And then Ags increases the cast range of life break very significantly. It's a lot. I don't know the number. I think it's like 200 something. And then it causes them to have to hit you for 3 seconds. It taunts them. By the way, this goes through BKB. So it's fantastic. It's really, really good because Huskar gets kited very easily. However, with this, on a 12-second cooldown, sometimes 9, you can just stun someone for 3 seconds and leap on them. And this is generally enough time to kill them, right? Because the leap does a very significant portion of the target's HP. It's 44%, before resistances. And then you go from there. So this Ags, while it might seem weird because it's like, oh, you're buying an Ags on a right-click hero, it's just insanely good. And frankly, you don't need a DPS item on Huskar. Your W is DPS, your E is basically focus fire when you're low HP, and then Armlet is just an insane item on, Huskar and any strength hero that can sustain it. All right, for instance, let's get into this team fight here. For instance, the DP is going to go in, but he hits her with a taunt. This prevents her ulti from going off, and that's through BKB. She obviously doesn't expect this, and that locks her down in the Monkey King ulti, eventually getting her killed. So right then and there, a team that can't do anything to a BKB just is able to kill her through BKB. It completely changes the state of the game. And yeah, still in these fights, like if it's a hard Huskar game, you have to play the outside, and you once again want to look for isolated targets. For instance, here he pops his BKB, gonna go in. Didn't really check items. That was a bit of a mistake. He would have been much better off jumping online if he was gonna commit. Decides to TP out, which I think was a great decision here, and ends up disengaging. All right, getting into this upcoming fight here, we're going to see a huge Ravage, and we're going to see a committal onto the DP. Look at that damage, man. Just the life break is it's insane. Plus the Skywrath ulti guarantees no BKB onto the DP. And by the way, that's not a dispellable thing, right? Taunts are not dispellable. So I think against Slark, it's like the best axe in the game, right? Because it taunts him. It's like an axe call. So essentially, any way axe call would interact with the hero, that's how Huskar's axe works. And axe call is very powerful, right? For that exact reason. It just kind of goes through a lot of your purges. I don't even think it can be dispelled by like an Abaddon shield, if I'm not mistaken. That I'm not 100% sure on. I could be wrong about that, but you guys could let me know in the comments. Let everyone know in the comments. That would be great. On top of that, one thing you might be wondering is the Shard. I actually like the Shard some games. If you don't know what it does, it's a 40% movement speed slow. It heals Huskar for 50% of the damage dealt, and it lowers cooldowns by 3. One thing that I've noted is that unless they patched it, if you're against something like Peel or Naga and you nuke, it full heals you, because it heals you based on the damage you deal to illusions, which is like a stupid high amount, right? Because it's like 300% to illusions. So against certain illusion heroes, if you're getting bursted, you click this because you can cast it while you're being disabled. So if you're against a lot of chain stun and an illusion hero, you can click Q full heal and get through like a Fiend's Grip or something like that, which can be huge. So in the right games, this is a fantastic Shard because of the fact that you can Q when you're stunned. So in certain matchups, it's fantastic. Or against something like a Sven who's been one-shotting you, if he keeps blinking on you and one-shotting you, you can, take this and disarm him, especially if he forgets the BKB. All right, but coming here, we're going to see a High Ground Siege. They are now 11k ahead, going for Assault Cuirass as this last item. Pretty standard. You need an armor item on this hero in the late game, otherwise you definitely lack armor. It goes in, finds a jump onto the Razor, life break nearly killing him right then and there. Unfortunately, Razor was just barely able to get off the BKB due to a tree and ulti, but you're going to see a little bit of a kite out, just wanting to play around the Ags. Honestly, goes a little bit deep here onto the Death Prophet, but with the Skywrath follow-up, it's good enough, and he's able to live. On top of that, the Razor goes crazy here and jumps in. I think he's fine. Unfortunately, Sand King missed stun, but another taunt comes out, and you can see this is kind of why a lot of people definitely would prefer the. I think the more popular talent when you're going Axe is the 20 life break cooldown talent, because you could see the activity you can have on this hero. It's insane how consistent you can be in terms of the disable you output. So just definitely go this build. It's very powerful. One thing you do have to be weary about in the mid to late game is BKBs though. As much as it is good that your ulti goes through BKB, if you jump on someone who's BKB'd, you're not going to do that much damage in the mid to late game, especially with the item build that he's going. So what I like about this team fight here is he ignores the Linken's Razor and goes for the tree. And I think this is fantastic target priority, and you generally want to take these type of targets out that you can kill from full. After that, when everyone's BKBs run out, HUSKAR is incredibly good at manning up, generally because you're going to have a halberd and a disarm from your Q, which is obviously very powerful, as well as the taunt. So you're very good at manning up in the late game. For instance here, Razor goes on him, he's able to live through it, gets feared from the DP, but he's able to just completely go through this. I even think he's like way too afraid here. He has so much heal amp, he has lifesteal that's super amplified by his items, and yeah, just an incredibly good fight from him there. I thought the execution and the discipline to go onto the Treant instead of the Razor was really smart in that case. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you have some better ideas of how to play this hero now, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the gameleap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!